test.
Nobody's guilty and everybody's a suspect. We don't know the truth yet, but we will.
Nobody's guilty and everybody's a suspect. That is the official position from the defense table in the Nolan Wells investigation. 6 words that sound like a legal strategy but function as a confession of chaos. Now read them again. Nobody is guilty. Everybody is a suspect. That is not a theory of the case. That is an admission that the facts have not been secured. Think of this case as a locked room with no inventory. The door is open, the windows are open, and the only item in the room that could tell you what happened is sitting on a table, untouched, for 6 weeks. A dead teenager, a boat, an island, and a phone. And the only thing everyone agrees on is that the phone holds the truth. And the only thing no one can do is open it. Before we go deeper into what the documents actually show, make sure you are subscribed to the VerdictOrigin. Because we don't just cover the story, we follow the evidence. The public record in this case operates on 2 speeds.
What, where, why, and when. That is a renowned trial lawyer named Tyler Cox, and he is representing the acquaintances of Nolan's that took him to Horn Island on their boat, the Triton. Curious, we've seen, hey, let's pull up that video control room of everyone getting on the boat before they went to Horn Island.
Slow and slower, the district attorney's office waited. The family waited. Witnesses surfaced, 2 of them. Reliable, credible, upstanding members of the community. They say they saw Nolan Wells on Horn Island at 6 o'clock in the evening. The boat, the Triton, left at 4:30. GPS confirms it, so if the witnesses are right, the acquaintances on that boat are cleared, and the entire narrative shifts. If the witnesses are wrong, the investigation collapses on itself.
These 2 witnesses, 2 very reliable, very credible, and very upstanding members of the community, they saw Nolan, and they've known Nolan for years. There's no chance that they made a mistake. And by the way, this can be corroborated through other evidence, other eyewitness accounts. And that's the end of it right there.
That's from the Officer Tatum Show. Susan Hendricks joining me, veteran, investigative journalist, author of Down the Hill, My Descent into the Double Murder in Delphi. What witnesses? I understand that there's video and witnesses. One places him there at 5, one places him there at 6. Significance, the Triton, and we can show this by GPS.
Either way, the answer sits inside one device.
We have had multiple witnesses reach out to us, 2 confirmed witnesses that saw Nolan Wells on the island around 6 p.m. on July 4th. Well after the Triton, as you said, left around 4:30. And so those witnesses have went to investigators, they've talked to the police, and they've done what they're supposed to do. These witnesses know Nolan. They've known him for a long time. They were able to make a positive ID.
One phone, one digital tomb. And that is the moral refrain you need to hold on to. The phone is the case. Repeat it with me. The phone is the case. The defense attorney representing those acquaintances came forward and said what every lawyer in America would say. My clients passed polygraphs. They cooperated. They were never suspects. And then he said the line that should make every investigator in that jurisdiction sit up straight. We don't know the truth yet, but we will. That is not confidence. That is forensics. Now walk through the timeline. July 15th, the family attorney meets with the state. Everyone agrees. The phone will be examined. But the family wants one thing, an independent expert in the room, not a demand, not an ultimatum, a standard evidentiary safeguard. Because once a device changes hands, the chain of custody becomes everything. One wrong thumbprint, one missing log, one unrecorded extraction, and the entire case dies before an indictment is ever filed. The state says fine, then silence for weeks, then a letter arrives. Turn over the phone. You have 24 hours. The family is out of state. They cannot comply. And suddenly the public narrative shifts. The family is not cooperating. The family is hiding something. The family is the problem. Stop. Look at what just happened. A family asked for oversight. The state answered with a deadline. And the public got a story about obstruction. The phone is the case. Now think about what a phone examination actually entails. A device like Celebrite, a password or a bypass, a mirrored copy, deleted messages recovered, Snapchat timelines reconstructed, call logs mapped against cell tower coordinates, every movement, every word, every hesitation between messages. This is not guesswork. This is not media speculation. This is digital forensics, science, a discipline.
Iker. Let me tell you who Iker is. Digital forensics expert, founding member of the FBI Cellular Analysis Survey Team, historical cellular analysis expert, former FBI, 22 years, former homicide, Norfolk, Virginia Police Department, works multiple cases, and currently with Precision Cellular Analysis. I could go on. Scott, tell me how this examination, I mean, you don't just pick up the phone and go, okay, I looked at it. What is a phone examination? How do I get evidence of potential snaps that were sent that day, texts, emails, photos taken during those critical hours? And important, how do I find out if anything was deleted? We've heard, yes, it's deleted. No, it wasn't deleted. The only way we're going to know is from a forensics exam. How do you do it? Now, take baby steps. Go ahead.
It's pretty easy nowadays. You get the physical phone itself, you hook it up to a device like the Cellbrite, which is one of the main producers of this type of software that can download phones. First of all, obviously, you have to have the password to the phone. If not, then you have to go through a lot of processes to get past the password and into the phone. But once you're into the phone, and this can be done with other people standing by, as you were talking about, another investigator for the defense or for the family or something like that being there, they can sit there and watch you download the phone. And basically, once you download a copy of what's on the phone, and you're not really messing with the evidence that's on the phone, you're not changing it, you're just copying it to another computer, and then you can start going through that data. You can look at all the text messages, and it'll even let you know which ones have been deleted. Now, of course, deleted means, it's
Put them up, please. Put them up, please. What do you see when you're looking for deleted? Do you see like you log on and you just see all this data, X's and O's and digits, and how do I tell something's been deleted? Explain that to me. I mean, unless it's in recently deleted, but even my twins at age 3 knew how to go into my phone and find recently deleted and delete it. How do you find it?
So it's actually just, on the computer screen, you're looking at all the lists of text messages, and it says right to the right of it, this one was deleted. So in an aspect, if it hadn't been overwritten, think about how computers work. You delete something just like a phone. You delete something, it kind of takes it and moves it into a non-use to an area you're not using. And then once, if the phone starts getting full, it starts writing over that deleted stuff. So things that were deleted at some point in time are still there and can be recovered. The actual texts of the text message, the content of the text message is still there until it's getting written over by the phone.
A method that either confirms the witness timeline or shreds it. And here is the ticking clock moment. If the phone has not been forensically imaged in 6 weeks, what exactly has been preserved? Every hour that passes, every notification that pings, every failed unlock attempt, every automatic update, every backup to the cloud, all of it alters the digital record. So ask yourself one question. If the phone is the single most important piece of evidence in this case, why has no one locked it down? Now consider the family's fear. It is not abstract. They have watched other cases. The Ellen Greenberg file. A young woman was found with more than 20 stab wounds, ruled a suicide. Evidence cleaned before it was processed. A video handed to police and then lost. A computer removed and never examined. These are not conspiracy theories. These are documented failures from public case files.
Many people have seen injustice in other cases that have nothing to do with them. And I believe they fear evidence will be destroyed or mishandled, and it can never be recaptured. It's very possible it could never be recaptured. I mean, you and I and Joe Scott, you did an incredible recreation in the Ellen Greenberg case, remember? Ellen Greenberg stabbed, I think, 20 plus times, including the back of the head, the back of the neck, the back, actually severing the dura of her spinal cord. And the ruling was suicide. Okay, this is what I'm leading up to. So,
yes, ma'am.
All of the evidence was not documented at the scene. The police this is in Philly, told the apartment manager, sure, clean it up. As a matter of fact, here's a professional cleaner. Call them. They had it professionally cleaned. Bye-bye, evidence. Gone. Gone. Not only that, the apartment manager took a video of the inside of Ellen's apartment to show basically, look, this is how it was before. This is how it is after. We want to prove we didn't take anything. We didn't steal anything. Everything is accounted for. And that's SOP, Standard Operating Procedure. So when they didn't process the crime scene, they went, oh, thank goodness, at least we have the video. They handed the video over to Philly PD, and they lost it.
Yeah.
Just let that
There's
sink
one more
in for a
thing.
moment.
There's one more
That
thing that
case
kind of ties
still-
back to. There's
Go
one more
ahead.
thing that kind of ties back to Nolan's case here as well, and that's the fact that with Ellen, I don't know if you recall this, the computer made it out of there as well. Do you recall that? And that was never examined, right? And so that's, again, we're left wanting, Nancy,
Ellen's
relative to all of the data.
with all of the info leading up to the
Everything.
time of her murder, ruled suicide, taken off the scene. Now, I'm not claiming that the people that took it, they were family members of the fiance. For all I know, they took it because they didn't want anybody to steal it. And nothing nefarious happened. But the problem is, you lock down a scene. I mean, look what's happened to Nancy Guthrie. A pizza delivery guy came and walked right over the blood evidence to deliver a pizza. Same thing here, Dave Mack. I get why the Nolan Wells family is fearful.
Chain of custody is not a formality.
Joe Scott, I have examined evidence myself at the crime lab. And the crime lab out on Panthersville Road is amazing, state of the art, with the defense attorney there. Mm-hmm. And I typically would not allow a defense team to examine the evidence unless I was there. Do I think they're going to do something nefarious? Maybe, probably not. But I don't want them to even touch it if it could somehow, compromise the evidence. And it can. A lot of the times, even touching it can compromise the evidence. So this is not unheard of, that the family wants an independent investigator there when the phone is searched.
Yeah, you're right. And it happens. Nancy, I've actually been in autopsy suites with defense attorneys, believe it or not. All manner of people come through the labs over the years as an independent set of eyes. So let's just say that they do, in fact, have an independent individual examine this phone. And I think this question goes back to you as a prosecuting attorney. Would any kind of findings that were on that phone, would they be negated as a result of the state not doing? If you wanted to move forward as using this evidence in a criminal prosecution, perhaps, would it invalidate it since the state is not doing it? And what are you going to find? And how many hands are going to be on this phone at that given time?
Are you saying that if the defense did their own investigation of the phone and the state did not, would
Yeah.
that negate the defense findings?
Yeah, because remember, we've got a grand jury that's going to be
Let me tell
impaneled,
you,
allegedly. Yeah.
HELLYES. Because the first thing, if the shoe was on the other foot, I would do.
It is the difference between a conviction and a memory. So when Nolan Wells' parents say they want an independent examiner present, they are not delaying justice. They are preserving it. They are protecting the last remaining archive of their son's final hours. And yet the public hears something different. The public hears that a family is refusing to hand over a phone. That is the gap between what was said and what actually happened.
The family is now seemingly being accused of wrongdoing because they haven't handed the phone over yet. What happened back on, I've got a big note here, phone July 15. Isn't that when the family had a meeting and said, yes, you can have the phone, but they want independent examiners there at the same time, right? Tell me July 15, what happened?
July 15th, the attorney for the parents of Nolan met and said, yes, we want to give over the phone, but we want someone in the middle here, someone from the outside, an expert to analyze the phone. It appeared everyone agreed. Then all of a sudden they get a letter saying, we want the phone and you have 24 hours to send it over. The DA sent that. And the parents were out of town and said, wait, we don't have the time to do that. Hence the narrative that they're not cooperating. Now they say, Nolan's parents, look, we have our experts on standby this week, pick a day. And not to mention on the 19th would have been Nolan's 19th birthday, a difficult week for the family, but they say, hey, we'll give up his cell phone. We want someone, a mediator, if you will. And
The family said yes. The state attached a clock. The family asked for a mediator. The state issued a deadline. The family scheduled their experts. The state went quiet. And then the deadline letter leaked into the public square. That is not an investigation. That is theater. The phone is the case. Now look at what has not happened. No criminal investigation has been formally acknowledged. But a grand jury is reportedly about to be convened. How do you convene a grand jury for a death that is not being investigated as a crime? How do you issue a 24-hour demand for evidence in a case that has no criminal classification? Those two positions cannot coexist.
You know, while I've got you, Greg Morris, let me throw another question at you. And look, I'm not wearing a prosecution or a defense hat. As you know, I'm a crime victim. I would say I'm coming at it from that angle. But I was very disturbed, Greg, when I got wind that there is no criminal investigation. It's been said over and over and over. Why not? We don't know how he died. For instance, if he did have water in his lungs, okay, maybe he did drown. But how did he get in the water? Did he fall in the water? Was somebody, wrestling with him in the water and they held him down? They went, oh, my stars, I killed him and left. Did he hit his head?
Well,
I mean, there's a lot more to it than saying, oh, yeah, he drowned. How can someone state there is no criminal investigation? I understand a grand jury is about to be convened. That doesn't mean there's a crime, but doesn't that suggest to you a grand jury inside the Superior Courthouse, inside the district attorney's office would suggest there is a criminal investigation?
Either the death is being treated as suspicious.
Well, it would potentially lead someone to believe that, yeah, a criminal investigation was undergoing. However, when we look at how this has played out over the last 6 weeks, how law enforcement has acted, they haven't seized Nolan Wells' phone at this point. In a criminal investigation, law enforcement's going to use those tools to get this information.
Are
So
you
this could
sitting
just be
down,
a
Morris?
drowning. I'm sitting down, and this could just be a drowning. And that's why they're looking at
Yes,
it that
could.
way, because
Nobody's
nothing's told
fighting
them
with
it's a,
you yet.
but everything's not a crime.
Oh,
It doesn't
my
have to be
stars.
investigated as a
And every tool of the state should have been deployed 6 weeks ago, or it is not suspicious and the grand jury is a public relations prop. Which one is it? The forensic experts in the public discussion have been clear. A human remains detection dog can alert within hours of death. Cellular breakdown begins immediately. The moment a body stops producing life, it starts producing evidence.
But most important, he is a death investigator with over 10,000 death scenes under his belt. Isn't it true, Joe Scott, that a cadaver dog, aka a human remains detection dog, can absolutely detect the scent of a dead person as early as 45 minutes to 3 hours after the death because of the cellular breakdown in organic compounds? Could you translate what I just said, which I've said in court before, into regular people talk?
Yeah, so our building blocks are cells, and so those cells begin to break down. And you're right. People don't understand that human decomposition literally begins at a cellular level the moment we're gone, okay? So the two compounds that you're looking for here when it comes to cadaver searches utilizing canine assets are putrescine and cadaverine, or cadaverine as well. And what they are, they're an organic compound that combine as a result of the cellular breakdown, and it gives off a particular odor. Now, to what Jeff was saying just a moment ago, if there is some type of, let's just say, blood evidence, all right, on the boat, that I pray this boat was locked down quickly. If there's a point of impact, say, for instance, on a railing, any of the gunnels in there, those areas in there, and you have blood deposition, guess what happens, Nancy? That blood begins to break down, just like a body does, okay? So you'll have the scent that is there, and it is wholly different than tracking a human, all right? Now, where else would you find it? Well, we know that Nolan's remains are allegedly found on the shore, right? They're allegedly right there. Now, we also know, and remember what the second autopsy said, he's in an advanced state of decomposition at this point in time. So the trick is here trying to understand.
That's when he's found on the beach. Hold on.
Exactly.
Joe Scott, that's when he's found on the beach. But my understanding, and of course, I'm just a trial lawyer. I'm not a canine expert like Jeff Shetler is, but within minutes to hours, minutes, dogs can pick up on the scent of human decomp. It starts almost immediately, and the dog can smell that.
You can say within 45 minutes, but I have to tell you, there is a lot of variability here, dependent upon a lot of environmental conditions, even the individual that is decomposing. That's going to play into it. So that's not a static number. It's a bracketed number. So you don't know how long it's going to take for this to actually begin to develop.
We also know that well-trained dogs, like Jeff Shetler works with, can still hit on decomp, even microscopic particles in soil, long after the body has been removed, sometimes years or even decades later, depending on the condition. But as Shetler just pointed out, in these conditions, where the surface of the boat is exposed to water,
On a small island, on a boat, on a shoreline, the scent was there. Whether it was collected in time is a different question. Whether anyone looked is another.
Question, I get this a lot from the viewers, so you can put it to rest. How long does a person have to be dead before a cadaver dog will pick up on that scent?
Well, honestly, a dog's going to pick up on the live or dead scent as soon as they're out there. So the time frame, from hours to a day or so is really not a big deal. It doesn't matter what type of dog you have that's looking for humans. Within that first 24 hours, either type of dog, a live find or a deceased person dog, is going to be viable. They're going to pick up on anything that's there. The big issue that we have here is primarily the contamination. After the fact, if the dog was placed at the scene initially to search for our victim, then the chances are the success rate would actually be pretty good. The island is very, very small. There's not a lot of hiding places. There's not a lot of places he could go. On the other hand, inside the water might be a different story. We have tide issues and everything else that are occurring there.
So you bring in a scent dog I would assume you bring in a scent dog first. But the issue with that, in my mind, probatively, like what can I use? How can I use that trial? What's it going to prove for me? I already know Nolan was on the boat to start with. So, of course, the dog is going to pick up Nolan's scent on the boat. That's not hard to figure out. So I know a scent dog is going to pick up on that. But a cadaver dog, what should have been done immediately with a cadaver dog. And I'm putting this out there not to say woulda, coulda, shoulda. Maybe it happened and we haven't been informed. The press, the media, has no right to information in an ongoing investigation. So this may have been done and we haven't been told. I can only pray. So regarding a cadaver dog, what should have been done, Jeff Shetler, and how should it have been done, and when should it have been done?
Lock down the location. Don't let anybody on there. Get the dogs in. See what type of reaction they have. Every second that goes by, every minute that goes by, every hour that goes by will have an impact on the dog work when it comes to age of the material, age of the odor, and more importantly, what your contamination factor is. And this is the one big thing that nobody ever really thinks about. They think the dogs are going to be these magical creatures that detect everything that you're looking for. But that's going to be mitigated dramatically by any type of human activity on the scene. That's the first thing that has to happen. So if you're going to use dogs, you need to get them out there right away. They actually have to be one of the first things on scene.
But the phone is different. The phone does not decompose. The phone does not wash away with the tide. The phone does not rely on witness memory. The phone stores, it records, it remembers. So when the defense attorney said, "We don't know the truth yet, but we will," he was not talking about the witnesses. He was talking about the device, the thing that has been sitting in limbo while everyone argues about access. Now, go back to the video evidence. Everyone prepares the boat at 1 o'clock, the departure, the GPS trail, the return time, or rather the absence of a return video. 3 boats caravanned out. Multiple stories about when they came back. No footage of any of them returning. That is an evidentiary hole large enough to drive a Triton through.
Okay, here we go. This was from the Officer Tatum show, and you're about to see people. There they are down at the right. And there's actual video of people see the boat at about 1 o'clock. Oh, there we go. Excellent shot, guys. People are getting on, people getting off. And it keeps going to where you see everybody that got on the boat. But here's my big question tonight, before I can even get to the alleged witnesses that Tyler Cox is telling us about. Dave Mack, joining me, Crime Stories investigative reporter. Can I see the video again, please? Dave Mack, I'm seeing everybody preparing the Triton to go out, preparing to go out. In this shot, they're down at about 3 o'clock. Okay, keep looking. 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And then suddenly you switch to a different camera. There you go. That's the boat. So, Dave Mack, where is the evidence? Where is the video of the boat? Is that Nolan right there? Walking along the light blue shorts, and he at that time had on a white shirt. I think that's Nolan right there. Dave Mack, where is the evidence, the video evidence of them coming back?
Nancy, we have not seen evidence of them coming back. Remember, 3 boats caravanned out to the island, and then we have different stories about when they arrived back on the mainland. But we don't have video of any of them showing back up.
And the witnesses who say they saw Nolan at 6 o'clock.
Really important. Greg Morse, these acquaintances that went out on the beach, I'm not razor locked on them. I'm looking at them. I'm looking at everybody. Who are these 2 witnesses? If they are telling the truth, that Nolan Wells was on Horn Island at either 5 or 6 o'clock, then the acquaintances on the Triton are in the clear. Because Morse, I know, based on their GPS, what time they left the island. So we have to keep our minds open as to what, who, what, where, why, the whole shebang. We can't lock in on those acquaintances if they had already left and he's still on the island. Is that true? I don't know. But it could be, right? Many an investigation has failed because the prosecutor did not keep their mind open as to potential suspects, right?
Well, that's 100% right. You know, the police have to keep an open mind. Here, it's not even a criminal investigation. So 6 weeks approximately has gone by. The folks that were on the boat with Nolan, nothing has come out even remotely to indicate they were involved in some foul play at this point at all. They're just people that went out to this island with their friend. It appears their friend may have stayed afterwards, and maybe a tragedy happened, maybe something else happened that wasn't involved.
The state has not publicly verified their accounts.
They are right about this. Left Horn Island around 4:30. So if he is spotted, and you can confirm to me that he is spotted there at 5 or 6, if that video has a timestamp on it, and I can corroborate that, or I can corroborate the witnesses weren't drunk. Hey, let's see that video control room again of Nolan bent over, and all you can see is his blue trunk right there. Now, that's not a very good eyewitness right there, okay? Do I think that's him? Yeah, I do. I do think that's Nolan. But I would tear that up in court. Tear it to shreds. There's all sorts of... You know what? Hold on, Susan Hendricks.
The defense has not publicly produced their statements. They exist in the transcript. They exist in public conversation, but they have not been admitted into any formal record. And until they are just words. Just like the deadline letter, just like the family's plea for oversight, just like the grand jury rumor. Words are not evidence. Paper is evidence.
Greg Morse joining me, veteran trial lawyer, founder of Morse Legal. He's in the Southern District of Florida, former West Palm Beach public defender, and author of The Untested. Greg, in Florida, as in Georgia, as in this jurisdiction of Mississippi, the official code of Mississippi, annotated, lays out how you establish or cross-examine, same thing, same criteria, an eyewitness, such as, I memorized them. How far were you away from the witness? From the target. What was the lighting? Do you wear glasses? Were you wearing them that night? Were you inebriated? Had you smoked pot? How can you prove that to me? Did anything obstruct your view? Was it daytime or nighttime? What time of the day was it? What were the conditions? You go on and on and on. You can rattle them off, right? I know you can. So
Absolutely.
How do I know the eyewitness can't identify anything except the back of his legs, like in that video?
Well, that's the thing. There's no details about any identification. It's just a broad statement that other people saw Nolan after the boat left. The video you just showed shows from a view from behind of someone bending over. Did the person have sunglasses on? Were they familiar with who they were actually looking at and identifying? How much had they drank during the day? It was a party scene. That's what usually these boat spots are. There's one by me in West Palm Beach, very similar setup called Peanut Island. So most people also, right, they don't think something's important until after the fact. They're just going about their day, notice people walking by. So from what you showed, that's not a very strong identification from that position, but there's no detail.
Records are evidence. Extraction reports are evidence.
What is Celebrite and how is it used?
It's a program that's been around for a good amount of time, probably 15 years, and each year it gets more updated, but it's a program that actually goes into the phone and allows you to copy the information from the phone onto a different computer. And then you can look at that data and spend time going through it, get all the chronological information from text messages to pictures to Snapchat. So you can get a timeline from all these different areas of the phone.
What about a digital forensics go bag? A portable data collection rig. We saw it in the Nancy Guthrie investigation. It was used when the investigators went into the Guthrie family home. You see it on field operations, intelligence, digital forensics. They extract or they mirror digital info right there on location. A tactical exploitation kit like a forensics go bag.
Yes, those are available, and basically Cellbrite is that also. It's more for phones, but you can have the same type of device for computers and for other devices in the home. But Cellbrite is also a portable device that you can take to a crime scene, take to a house, or go to a individual's residence and do that download. It doesn't have to be done in the office.
According to the family, they have made the phone and their independent experts readily available.
The Jackson County DA's office, as well as our forensic team, and possibly the FBI, we're going to together download and examine the phone. So it's done one time with everybody together, right? This is very common in the law. This is what is supposed to happen. We are waiting for the DA to determine the time, the place, the date. Let us know, and we are going to be there with our forensics team and anybody else, but it's done one time, one examination.
The phone is the case. So what happens next? The family says they are ready. Their experts are on standby.
Oh, Nancy, this investigation, I'm putting air quotes in that because if you remember early on, it was a drowning, and no investigation had even been done. You realize he was missing. It wasn't like it was hours and they went back and he was missing for almost 2 days. And the family early on was not getting information that they felt like they should. All they're saying is, we want to be assured of the chain of custody, how the extraction on this phone is going to be performed, who would have access to the extracted data. That's important. Preservation of the evidence. And then, when is this phone going to be returned to us? This is the last thing they have of their son. And those things that I just mentioned, those were the items discussed on July 15th. And there was no follow-up after that until August 12th, when the DA's office, tells the family, well, you got 48 hours to turn the phone over, and they were out of town. So, yeah, there's a lot going on with the most important part of the evidence.
So there was no way by the time they find out about the letter that they could comply with the 48-hour requirement.
The DA has not announced a date. The grand jury has not returned anything. The witnesses have not been deposed. And the public is left staring at the same locked room with no inventory. Now here is what you can do. Go to the Jackson County District Attorney's Public Records portal. Pull the correspondence log from July 15th to the present. Look for the letter demanding the phone. Look for the family's written response. Look for any motion, any filing, any official notation that references an independent examination. If you find it, ask yourself one question. Does the state's timeline match the public narrative? Or did the state demand the one piece of evidence it knew would ignite a fight? Because that is the real story here, not the witnesses, not the boat, not the island, the phone, the one object that could end all speculation, the one object that has not been opened, the one object that everyone fears and no one controls. The phone is the case. If this breakdown connected the dots for you, like this video, share it with someone who still thinks this was just a drowning. Subscribe to the VerdictOrigin and turn on notifications. Because the truth is not going to unlock itself.